Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
You're listening to a Weeby Geeks Network podcast.
You turn to Disney for reassurance and comfort and some feeling that, yes, it's all going to work out, okay, Even if you end up at Pleasure Island and your friends are being turned into donkeys, things are going to work out okay. Even if the witch poisons you with an apple, it's still going to work out okay.
Another world, another time, in the age of wonder.
There was once a dream. You could only whisper it. Anything more than a whisper, and it would vanish.
A battle between good and evil.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Where shall I find a new adversary so close to my own level?
Try the local sewer.
You know of the rebellion against the Empire?
The Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes.
Peace means having a bigger stick than the other guy.
One of these days, I'm gonna have a stick of my own.
I'm Groot.
Welcome to the Neverland Podcast. The podcast for lovers of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
Please welcome your host, Jeremy.
I thought he'd be taller.
Yeah, I can fly.
All it takes is faith and trust.
Well, if it isn't the Star-Spangled Man with a plan, what is your plan today?
Up to Neverland!
Take your pixie out of your pockets, Neverlanders. Sprinkle some of that pixie dust around. Think up your happiest thought. And fly away to Neverland. And we're not flying alone because, of course, I am, of course, your head Lost Boy, the Spider-Pan Jeremy. And we have Lost Boy Philip with us this time.
Hello.
Lost Boy Eric will join us later when we have a nice conversation with Disney walking encyclopedia and historian Jim Korkis. And I want to make sure you know how to spell his name, Korkis. I want you to get on Amazon, and I want you to look up Jim Korkis. He's got lots of books. They're all good. Go buy you one. Believe me. I will put some links in the show notes. Also, if you go to Theme Park Press, you can find some more of his books. More links to his books. He's even got a new one coming out. I believe he mentioned it a little bit in this conversation we have with him later. We're going to be hearing from him for the next couple of weeks. We sat and we talked with him, and he had so much to share that we ran long, and I'm like, this is all good. I want to share as much as we possibly can of this, so I'm going to share it over the next couple of weeks. A great conversation. You're going to learn stuff that you probably don't know, because that's what Jim Korkis does. He will find out all the stuff, and he'll tell you stuff that you don't know. And he was great fun. So you already heard a little bit of there at the opening of the show. He had some great things to say even before we started the actual show. You're going to love it. Jim Korkis, and also mouseplanet.com. He blogs there regularly every week. I think he said it was on Wednesdays. But go and check out Mouse Planet and go and look at what he writes there. He's just so much knowledge. He's so much fun. You're going to enjoy it. But until then, Lost Boy Philip and I are here. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
And we have some stuff to cover in Disney news.
Spanning the Disney and geek universe to bring you the best in comics, toys, movies, and entertainment. This is news from around Neverland.
Okay, so, and I pulled this up on my phone. As you notice, the sound quality is different because we're sitting over at Phil's house. And of course, the other recordings, of course, I did over our Skype thing, and I got to pull everything back up. I don't feel I'm as organized as I normally am, folks, but I got everything here. The big ones, of course, that we want to talk about is we learned something about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Okay, so you know about Rise of the Resistance, right, Phil?
Oh, tell me all about it.
Rise of the Resistance is... this is where we were looking at the ride vehicles before. Remember, they're trackless.
Yeah.
You're going to get to have an experience of escaping from the First Order. But we have found out It's going to be 28 minutes long.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. Now, normally with a long ride, people say, oh, it's a great way to take a little break and relax and take a little nap for 28 minutes or something, like somebody's certain energy adventure. But holy cow, I think you're going to be in for it. But it says the ride has 18 ride show areas and a lot of special effects.
Wow.
So there is a lot of new information, and this was all from a Blogspot here article that we shared this week. Something else very, very cool. How long you been married now?
Oh, let's see, 10 years.
10 years? So that's about a good time. It's about time to renew your vows, maybe.
Oh, maybe so.
Well, I tell you what, there is a thing on Omaze about you could win the ultimate Disney fairy tale wedding or vow renewal, which I'm thinking I can renew my vows. I've been married 16 years? How's he?
It'll be 16 years ago this June.
Yeah, this May. This May, yeah.
It was almost.
I'm coming up on 16 years. Wow. But if for a donation going to Give Kids the World through Omaze, you could win a fairy tale wedding at Walt Disney World Resort. And they're going to let you set this up around Beast's Castle.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. After hours, of course, in front of Beast's Castle. Exclusive reception inside the Be Our Guest restaurant.
Cool.
You get the Magic Kingdom Park then all to yourself after the park is closed.
Oh, that's great.
World-class food and beverage, unique entertainment, sunrise photos in front of Cinderella Castle. Oh. So sleep all day so you're going to be up all night.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, a wedding that you and your guests will never forget. To renew your vows or to get married in the first place. But Give Kids the World Village is an 84-acre nonprofit storybook resort that's near Central Florida's most beloved attractions. Critically ill children and their families are treated to week-long, cost-free vacations, complete with accommodations and, of course, villas, transportation, attraction tickets, meals, everything. That's been going on since 1986. I've had a link on neverlandpodcast.com where you can donate to them, but if you donate through Omaze here, and for like $10 you can get 100 entries. $25, 250 entries. So you can buy some entries of however much you want and try to win this. I know I'm going to do it.
Awesome.
I know Heather's been saying we ain't got the money, but hey, it's time to renew our vows. We've been married a long time. She may have forgotten her vows. Remember, she had issues with Obey. There's a whole story in there.
A joking story.
Yes. We had some fun with her on that one.
I was actually the minister. That was the first wedding that I did there.
Yeah, we launched on a whole mission. Yeah. Mission. I don't know if it's the right word.
Yeah, an adventure. So
now, I found this article on CNBC that mentions that, and here's the headline. It says Disney is already losing over $1 billion in streaming, and its Netflix competitor has yet to launch. So basically, they're saying that their stake in Hulu and its ownership of BAMTech led to a loss of more than $1 billion in the latest fiscal year. Hulu apparently not doing well. Direct-to-consumer losses should continue to surge as Disney ramps up Disney Plus, its new streaming service. I have a feeling Hulu eventually will be shut down and it'll be all moved, whatever they keep, to Disney Plus. So, I mean, they're saying there's going to be basically a loss because of the Hulu investment, and also with BAMTech and a lot of the things that they've acquired through this Fox acquisition. So, I mean, there seems to be like a loss, but once Disney Plus launches here late in 2019, I have a feeling that's going to go in there because, I mean, Netflix is spending money right now making original programming. Disney has a bunch of programming already made.
Yeah.
I mean, if they launch all the classic movies, classic Mickey Mouse cartoons, Disney afternoon stuff.
Not to mention their Marvel, their Star Wars, all these things. Now, also, as far as Hulu goes, their WWE stuff, which will be probably leaving within the next year or so because their little contract is coming close to an end, and WWE can put their stuff right over on their programming.
Yeah.
So I personally, even though we get Hulu myself,
I think through Sprint, I think I get a free account.
I might end it and go with Disney and with the WWE and with the Netflix and a couple others. I wouldn't mind trying out the Disney, I must say.
Yeah, and I find I really don't watch much Netflix. Hardly anymore.
I personally do. But
Stranger Things 3, I'm looking forward to.
The only reason why I really watch Hulu is to watch some of the Disney stuff, to watch the wrestling, to watch certain things, and I would have no reason to continue to watch.
Yeah, honestly. So I do not mind closing down my Netflix account to get Disney Plus.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I will spend my entire time just watching Mickey Mouse cartoons or something.
Oh boy!
I will watch some Donald and I will have a good old time. So, not a big deal. But, okay, so we've heard the Jurassic Park water attraction over there, I forgot what they called it, over at Universal was going to get an update.
Oh, good.
Because
good ride.
they're going to make it like a Jurassic World type of thing. But we found out something that over where they've had a raptor encounter section.
Oh, yeah?
Where they've been, but over in that area, the raptor encounter is going to get relocated because in that area, they've got actually a track layout that has been confirmed that they're going to have a Jurassic Park roller coaster.
Oh.
So that now I don't know if that's exactly what the new Jurassic World maybe that's going to take part of the area of the old ride because I heard that was going to be changed. So, but apparently we've got a Jurassic Park roller coaster on the way in that area over at Universal.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things going on over there.
I'll say this: I love the Jurassic Park ride. I've been on it a couple times. And there's something about it. I don't know. You got to understand I'm a Jurassic Park nut. And I love being on it. The greatest part was being on there with young people who didn't expect it to be that awesome. That was awesome. I wish you could have seen the picture they took, man.
Oh, yeah, especially the T-Rex. Even though, if you got a good look at the T-Rex, I've seen video. The T-Rex that swings out has its legs even just swinging underneath.
Oh, it's just awesome.
It's pretty funny. So, let's see. I think the only other things... Oh, well, I want to show you this picture here. Funko released a picture of some new Winnie the Pooh mini vinyl figures.
How cute.
And they even have a Heffalump and Woozle.
Yeah, how cute.
Which I think that's from that Heffalump movie.
That is from the Heffalump. I don't know much about the
Although she's kind of dressed as a ballet dancer, which kind of reminds me of that little song of the Heffalump and Woozles.
Yes.
But they have everybody, including Christopher Robin, and two different Poohs because they have a Pooh in his nightgown, or nightshirt, or whatever, his pajamas, as well as one with a jar of honey. It says they're coming soon. I'm not sure exactly when they're coming out, but keep an eye out for that.
Very cute.
That's going to be very cool. A little bit of sad news, though. The Toy Story director and Coco director Lee Unkrich is actually leaving Pixar after 25 years.
Aww.
Now, I haven't looked into this. I think he's probably just stepping down, retiring. I mean, he's been at it for 25 years. He might be looking to do something different, but he may just be stepping down and retire. I didn't really examine that one too much. But I did also find out, speaking of people leaving, Paul King, who he did those Paddington movies, which I still haven't gotten to see. I'd like to see.
I've seen the first one. It's pretty cute.
Yeah, and I remember the old cartoon with the stop motion.
I played Paddington Bear in a play at kids playing at school.
But he was going to direct the live-action Pinocchio film, but he has stepped away from that.
I was really looking forward to that because I've seen so many Pinocchio movies when I was a kid. And they've done some pretty good jobs, but I've always wanted to see a Disney version.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Did you see the old Pinocchio that it was like HBO when they had their fairy tale figures and they had the Paul Rubens as Pinocchio?
Yeah, I did see it, yeah.
That was fun. Pee Wee Herman Pinocchio. Speaking also of Funko, there's of the Jedi Pop vinyls. They have some Ewoks coming.
Oh, that's cute.
Return of the Jedi, complete Return of the Jedi setting. I have to get one.
Yes, that's adorable.
Yeah, it very much looks fun. Oh, also there are some early looks out there on WDWNT of the Mickey's Mix Magic, which is a new show going on over at Disneyland. I don't know a whole lot of details about this. I should probably pop into the article. I didn't get all my research done this week. It's been kind of a crazy week for me. But this is a new nighttime fireworks and projection show, which actually launched January 18th. It's got new music, projections, and lasers, and it's basically a big dance party. And there's some photos here, and they look, I mean, wow, check this out, this Haunted Mansion thing.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
That is really sweet-looking projections, great fireworks. So this is a new show that just premiered, and there is some video, of course, if you go on YouTube. They have a link here at WDW News Today or WDWNT.com. You can come and check that out. That looks really, really cool. So, new show at Disneyland. Also, this was kind of a hit there. We found out EA was working on a full open world Star Wars game. They have canceled that. And basically, Forbes magazine said that EA is actually squandering the Star Wars license. They don't think they're doing a very good job of it. And a lot of fans would back them up because those microtransactions with Battlefront. Because I have Battlefront 2, but I'm not doing these microtransactions. I'm not playing around with that. Yeah. But the way they've been handling it's not been well. There's been a few mobile games that have been all right, but mobile games, you expect those microtransactions. But even when Forbes is saying that, you guys suck at this, as far as business, I think you're down and out for that.
The problem has been the way they've handled it, of course, but the fact is you have Star Wars. Something you can easily do and make into a great game. I love the original Battlefronts, and I have bought
the old
these.
Classics was great.
I have been waiting for new ones. They finally have made them, and they've not done very well in my opinion. But they
graphically,
can be.
It looks great. I mean, gameplay is pretty fun in general.
One of the things I hated about it, and I love the Battlefronts, and I think you can do a lot with them, but I didn't like the fact that you will have this huge scenery, this huge playground. And then you'll try to fight somebody, but you'll step outside of where you started, and you're suddenly in this white area of dying. I'm thinking, come on.
For stepping outside of his zone.
Yeah, this is Star Wars.
If they would put some sort of natural wall type of thing, like on Hoth, you can have mountains.
Yeah.
On Mos Eisley, just have walls there.
There's so much that can be done with Star Wars. If you can't do that right, you got a problem.
Yeah. That really bothered me with Battlefront 2, that you'd want to explore the Rebel base on
Hoth or whatever.
Not the Hoth one. Wow, my brain just went out. Because I remember we played that the first time I was playing it. We played it on Yavin.
Yavin, yeah.
On the moon there, Yavin. We went, and you'd want to go inside the base, and it was fully open as far as you could see. But as soon as you cross a certain boundary line, hey, you're going to die in 10 seconds if you don't get back into the battle.
And sometimes you can't go back because you fell down somewhere.
Yeah.
You might slide down a hill. You're stuck. You're
going to die, and that's been a big problem.
Yeah.
And there's ways they could have put up natural boundaries that would have kept you from wandering somewhere they didn't want you to go.
Beyond that, it's a good game, but
it would have been more exciting to be able to run around inside the base.
Yeah, it's limited.
And heck, even the inside the Jabba's palace is such a maze that that's
limited.
That's kind of hard. I mean, it'd be fun with a group of people, I suppose. But some bit of good news: Animal Kingdom has a new Maasai giraffe calf.
Oh, I love giraffes.
Just born this past week. There's a picture up here on our Facebook page, which, by the way, did you know the Neverland Podcast has a Facebook page, a Facebook group, and a Twitter page at Neverland Podcast. You can find all these links at neverlandpodcast.com, where you'll also find links to our Patreon page, because I do depend upon your support. I have 2 different levels of support, just $1 a month, and you won't have to hear those ads at the beginning of the show. You'll get your own RSS feed. $5 level, you will get exclusives. In fact, I'll work on an exclusive. You'll get to hear the entire Jim Korkis interview in one go on the $5 level. But for the rest of us, I'm cutting it up and little half-hour bits, and including the bits you're going to hear another bit when we go to the trailer park. Oh, happy birthday, Popeye, 90 years, by the way. Oh, here in the land of weird, People.com from People Magazine, and here was the headline. It said Disneyland is opening its first ever family-friendly brewery. They said it sounds magical. I think it sounds weird. You have a bar and you're bringing kids in. Now, granted, this could be like, because you go to Applebee's or Chili's, there's a bar in the middle of it, but it's primarily a restaurant. And they do talk about it. It's opening on January 16th, the Blast Point Brewing Company.
So it's open now.
It's open now. But it's not, it's going to function. It's going to have restaurant stuff. You can go and order food. 4,000 square feet glass enclosed bar restaurant, an additional 3,000 square feet outdoor beer garden with cabana style seating, and tap room seats for up to 220 people. Now, and it's supposed to be a family-friendly brew pub, which is going to offer 50 styles of Blast Point's beer across 100 tap lines. This is a bar! And they're saying family-friendly, bring your kids to the bar? I'm sorry, I love Disney, but what the heck? I mean, yeah, okay, this would be a good thing to open up, but don't market it as family-friendly. Bring your kids to the bar. I mean, it's one thing if you market it as a restaurant with a lot of different alcohol available, if you market it as a restaurant, but when you're calling it a brewery and your marketing is with your bar taps, no, you don't bring your kids to a bar. What the hell kind of alcoholic do you think you are? Pardon my French, but what in the world? That just bothers the heck out of me. And it says, executive sous chef Joey Lerma says the food will be a mix of Southern California staples, including popular dishes such as Baja-style fish tacos and a house-made pretzel with beer mustard, in addition to gluten-free and vegetarian options, and beer for the kids. How about that?
They didn't say that, did it?
No, I added that in myself. Open 7 days a week, starting from 10 a.m. to midnight, because, family-friendly at midnight. And I think I just found an article that may be confirming Yes, People Magazine actually says Mickey Mouse ice cream bars have arrived in stores to bring Disney World magic to your home. I haven't seen any yet, but it's supposed to be coming in February.
Awesome.
In February, you can get a Mickey bar at the grocery store.
I love those.
I've never had one.
Well,
and these are family friendly because there's no beer in these.
Calm down, my friend.
Sorry, I can't help it. It's stupid.
Down. I agree, but the original Mickey Mouse bar was different than these. These are the ones, and they're great too. These are the ones that are dipped, kind of like what you get at the Sonic or the Dairy Queen. Could think of the name, I don't know why. But these are great. They're dipped in chocolate and they're wonderful. I can't complain.
Basically, it's an ice cream bar.
It is.
But it's shaped like Mickey. Exactly.
How can you complain?
We got to bite the ears off
They're out. That's what you always got to do.
Bite the ears off.
Got to be first, folks.
That's right.
But the fact of the matter is the original ones were different. They were like the regular ice cream, little ice creams that you get, but there was chocolate on the certain parts that were supposed to be like Mickey Mouse's ears and all that, and it almost looked like a Mickey Mouse hat. That's the way it was shaped. And then you also in the middle there you'd have these little eyes in the mouth.
Oh,
yeah,
kind of like what you get from the ice cream man.
Yeah, that's how it looked, but it was really good. You can look up.
I think you might still be able to get those.
Maybe, but that's how it.
Maybe from the ice cream man.
That's how it used to look. I'll have to look at the old.
Yeah,
pictures.
yeah.
I got old pictures of me eating them from back in 1982.
Yeah. Jumping into, it's supposed to be the rumor mill, but it seems like we've got some confirmation that this is being looked at.
What's that?
Let me see if I can. I'll read this a little bit more. This is a supervising producer at DCPI Content Media. And it says supervising producer on all animation development and production within the division, currently supervising the reboot of Muppet Babies. This was back from 2017. With Disney Junior supervising production on Legend of the Three Caballeros, a streaming animated series for Disney Digital Network, which we know is already playing internationally, just not here in the States yet.
Really?
But when Disney Plus launches, I'll bet we'll all get to see it.
Good.
That's what we're expecting. But here's the thing, and developing an Oswald the Lucky Rabbit show.
Yay.
Previous development projects include a 2D, 3D hybrid test for a Cars spin-off series, creating linear and VR content for the Vinylmation stunt team, producing animation for VR Battlesaurs experience, producing 3 22-minute stop-motion specials for Disney's Club Penguin. So this was like something that had been posted out there, and so people are looking at this and say, hey, wait a minute, did you say you were making Oswald the Lucky Rabbit as a cartoon? We would think this might be something for Disney Plus. We might get an Oswald series plus a Cars spin-off series.
That'd be good.
That would be pretty cool.
I honestly have thought for a long time, not only Oswald, now that Disney's had Oswald for, Jeremy, how long have they had Oswald? Like not a decade, is it?
Oh, I want to say somewhere within the last 15 years.
Yeah, because I thought it was around 2009, around the same time as Marvel.
Yeah, I guess that's when they made that deal with Universal.
Yeah, I thought
they traded like Al Michaels. Yeah, they traded Al Michaels for it.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thought. But anyway, I thought that it was around that time because I know that they started getting the in the games and all that. They had Oswald. I thought, wouldn't it be interesting and great if they made a cartoon? I wanted to see for a long time cartoons that had Mickey in it, Oswald, all those characters, like a series. They should. So kids get to know them. They do have some cartoons of Mickey for internet.
Heck, Disney Plus wants to get those old Oswald cartoons up there.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
I would love to see it.
Because now they probably got all the Universal. Well, I guess the ones Universal made without Walt are not that great from what I've heard. But get some of the old ones that Walt did.
Yeah.
Because even on Epic Mickey, you could unlock some of those Oswald cartoons, and they're great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I would love to see. I'd love to see it though. Make a cartoon of you can even call it the old Mickey World or Mickey's Neighborhood or whatever. Have all those characters in that little neighborhood.
Yes,
that'd be a fun thing.
Have them all live together in Duckburg with Scrooge
there
McDuck
you go.
and the nephews.
We've talked about that kind of stuff.
Yes, and have St. Canard as somewhere,
Launchpad could own the plane. That'd be a fun little
St. Canard could be, however many miles away, and Launchpad could be doing double duty.
They can borrow my old idea where the bad guys could live in Eville.
There's so much that could be fun.
That'd be a blast.
Something else that could be fun. This book is not out yet, but all right, Mike Quinn has been on the show. If you go and you search on NeverlandPodcast.com, you can find where he came on. Mike Quinn was Nine Noon. Anytime you see him in this Nine Noon in a Star Wars movie, it's him.
Really?
He played it as a puppet in Return of the Jedi, and now he's actually in a full body costume flying X-Wings and these newer ones.
Awesome.
Also, we found out that he was part of the Dark Crystal.
Really?
He was the slave master, Skeksis. He's also worked directly with Jim Henson. He was, I think he's mentioned being one of the Kermit's arms at certain points when he was a young man. I mean, Mike Quinn has done a lot of stuff, and he's got a book called Talk to the Hand he's trying to get out. And he loves to teach puppetry.
That's great.
But he needs to get some. He needs some funding to help going. So he's got a Kickstarter started. So get on. If you go even to our Facebook page, I put a link up there. But if you go to Kickstarter and you look for Mike Quinn, Talk to the Hand, help him fund this book.
Yes.
I haven't looked at all of his options on there, but go and help him fund this book because it's going to be a good book, and I'm sure you can get a copy of the book if you fund it. Another thing very, very interesting, I found out about that Disney actually has launched some Beauty and the Beast dishware.
Oh, cool.
You can find out more on the Facebook page. I have a link there. Where the only photo I found was this a glass where it says "Be Our Guest" in this etching.
Very pretty.
Very, very nice. I mean, I'm sure this is going to be expensive. It'll be nice stuff. Also found out about a mural in Fort Collins, Colorado, paying tribute to Harper Goff. Now, Harper Goff... The look, now granted, we know Main Street USA, the idea of it kind of came from Walt's Memories of Marceline, but the actual look of it came from Harper Goff and his home in Fort Collins, Colorado. And so when Walt approached him with the idea, I want you to design Main Street, and told him about it, he, of course, drew from his memories of his home in Fort Collins, Colorado, so the look of it in Disneyland is from Fort Collins. But there's a mural in Fort Collins of Harper Goff, which is very, very cool. Now, I actually, as a side note, I found a job opening through Town Square Media, which they have some radio stations here in Missouri, but I found a job opening for a morning show host in Fort Collins.
Yeah.
I applied.
Well, I hope you get it. That'd be great.
I'd have to move to Fort Collins, Colorado, but, you know. And one more, I think this is the last thing I want to get into. I did find there's some video up on our Facebook page about what Disney Infinity 4.0 Kingdoms would have looked like had it happened. There was some ideas of having an Aladdin level where Aladdin and Yoda are kind of teamed up, and you're playing it as a different character, following them on some missions. There were some great ideas, but not going to happen because no more Disney Infinity. But something else, and I'm hoping. Because there's a stage musical of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, a Disney version.
I've seen it, yeah.
The one this hasn't been released in the United States. I'm not talking about in the parks. This was a full-on musical.
Oh, I see.
Broadway style, but they never played it in the States. Really? It was only in Europe because the movie was more popular over there. They've never brought it over here. Huh. So I'm hoping they grab some of the songs so we get to hear them.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Because they are now, they have announced that they're going to do a live-action, well, they're calling it reboot, but a live-action version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Yeah. And I know a bunch of people are like, oh, gosh, I'm so tired. Oh, my gosh. I'm sorry. People are still going to these.
Yeah.
Say what you will about getting tired of them. We're still spending our money, and it still seems to be profitable enough to where they keep making these.
That's why they don't burn them out. You know.
And personally, I'm kind of like, boy, I wish they weren't remaking because I love the original films. I'm still enjoying them for the most part, and I go, of course, mainly to review them.
Yeah.
But I kind of start to get excited when I see the footage.
I will say, I hope they start coming up with some good originals of the live action.
Yeah, I would like to see some more original stuff, which they're not doing so great with some of the originals. You know, that Nutcracker film was kind of so apparently. I didn't see it because I heard it wasn't great. They tried to do another movie, A Wrinkle in Time, which it was okay.
Yeah,
it didn't go. But some of their original, I guess it's not original if they're pulling from other novels and stuff. But some of the stuff not remaking their stuff is not doing as well.
Yeah,
and I think the Mary Poppins Returns showed that Disney is doing a pretty good job tapping into what they know and bringing that back.
Yeah.
It did have a little bit of that classic Mary Poppins style Disney magic in that movie. So maybe tapping into the old stuff, Disney is learning how to recreate the magic of the classics a little bit. So this could be a good thing. Maybe this is Disney being able to get going again with some of the classic magic that we miss from some new things. So, you know, I'm still enjoying them. I know, we'd like them to leave things alone or whatever. And there's people who are just like, I'm just not going to see it.
You know why? Because out there waiting in the sun.
But, you know, there's people who are they're just never going to go out to see it. But enough people will go out to see it that these are still profitable.
Well, the
so
story
Disney will keep
of Hunchback of Notre Dame has really an awful lot of message, too.
Yeah, and it's a very dark book.
It is, but if you
it's a dark movie.
But if you go from the original, if I say original, I'm talking about the original Disney cartoon of 1996.
Yeah,
that was, in my opinion, the best way to tell it to a family.
Yeah,
because it takes the point of the story, a good point, and yet it lightens it up. I remember some people were at the time when they brought it out were like, no, they should never change. Listen, sometimes you got to change things.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. The original storytelling of Snow White wasn't so great. The original storytelling of Little Mermaid, she doesn't get the boy. There's
but there is a lesson that was being taught. They're not. If you get into Hans Christian Andersen,
I know.
He was teaching. But the point is that people try to focus on the sad ending, but that's actually she becomes better and better than a human.
My point is in all this is that you can still teach the lessons and have the fun in it too. So sometimes
you don't have to have everybody die.
Yeah, but when they were written back then, you kind of did. I mean, it's just like the way Hamlet was made, the way that
Disney doing Hamlet. Somehow or another, they have Hamlet live in the end. I mean,
they did.
They would.
They did.
Disney did a Hamlet?
Yeah, it's called
The Lion King. Right?
And it's coming out this year too.
I forgot about that. But if they actually made a Hamlet, Disney could make Romeo and Juliet and find a way for them to live at the end too.
Romeo and Juliet. Was it kind of?
Okay. Yeah, Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, they did. Okay.
There you go.
There we go. See. Proving me right. That's what Disney does.
That's right.
One more thing I almost forgot I wanted to get into, and this is that it's almost a white elephant in the room. There was a fan film, a Darth Vader fan film called Vader.
I heard about it.
It was like first episode, completely funded by a guy. His YouTube channel is Star Wars Theory. I usually don't pay attention to his channel because I'm not into too much. Some theory is fun, but sometimes I think the theories they go way off the deep end, and so I'm not that interested. But he funded it himself, a fan film, because he contacted Lucasfilm and asked what the rules are for a fan film. And basically, you cannot crowdfund, and of course, you can't monetize it when you put on YouTube because you can't have any money. But Lucasfilm is very happy to have fan films out there. George Lucas always encouraged it. Well, he made his film. He had a composer make music for it. He posted it out there. People were checking it out. It was very, very good. He got a lot of views and realized, wow, boy, if I would have been able to monetize this, I could have made a lot of money off of this film that would have helped. The cost of making this thing was huge. So he put. I don't know where he got the money to do it, but he did a good job. I watched it. But what happened is Warner Chappell, I think it's Warner Chappell, they filed copyright on him on a YouTube because, and what they said, and I know, I'll explain copyright law to y'all because I have had to learn some stuff. They said that a section on the music resembled the Imperial March. Now, everybody got all mad at blaming Disney. And all this other, he even got it clear through Lucasfilm to make it. But here's how copyright works. It's the music that had the violation.
Yeah.
Okay. And copyright is very sticky. You can have just the right amount of notes that match something else, and it can actually be a violation of copyright. Copyright violation is so simple that my teacher actually had us do an experiment in class. We drew a picture. We drew a picture. We passed it over to somebody else, so somebody else handed me their picture, and then we drew something else with it, or added something to it in some way. And then she said, you've all just violated copyright. By even adding, if you have something of the original there, that can be a violation of copyright, and that's perfectly legal. Now, granted, at this point, because we had exchanged, we had given permission, really, by doing the exchange, so that would not be a full violation, because if you've given permission for somebody to add and change stuff, then, okay, they have permission, no problem. So, he had permission to make the film, but if the music really did resemble in one point, and I didn't get to hear exactly what bit of the music was the issue, that would actually be a violation of copyright if his composer used any bit of the Imperial March. So they were perfectly legal to have it. But now what everybody fussed about is with them being able to make a copyright claim, they weren't pulling the video down, but it meant that they were allowed to monetize the video. And then people got mad because they were able to make money and he's not. Well, of course he's not. He didn't create the characters. He created a story and it's a fan film. He should not have expected any money, but why everybody got mad that because of potential copyright claim, that Lucasfilm can make some money through, or Warner Chappell, whatever, that they can make money because of that little bit of music. That is how copyright law works. But everybody wanted to blame Disney. Then the fun thing is, though, Lucasfilm, seeing that this was a problem and a PR disaster, they said, oh no, just go ahead and remove that claim. It's a fan film. Let it go. So pretty much happy ending for everybody. But people needed to calm down. Yeah. Because it was a perfectly legal thing, and this Warner Chappell is one part of it, a little group, and that they kind of police these sort of things. I mean, if you put something on YouTube, believe me, the Warner Music Group will get off after it, and they'll make sure they get their nickel because you use something.
What I respect the whole thing is George Lucas and the people I respect him because in this situation, especially, I respect him as being he allows people to do this stuff. He didn't have to.
Unlike CBS, that you cannot make a Star Trek fan film without they went up the deep end.
Yeah, I respect Lucas. He knows without the fans, you have nothing.
Yeah,
he knows that. And he respects us and our wishes. Without them, you don't have what you have. Incidentally, the CBS people are crazy about the Star Trek thing.
Yeah, but that was insane.
But Roddenberry, on the other hand, he knew that without the fans, you don't have what you have. That's why he wasn't near as crazy about it. It's the companies who produce it, they do, but he didn't because he respected the fans.
Yeah. And this show, Lucas, was filmed for respecting the fans, and I'm sure Disney was also okay with the decision to say, oh no, remove that copyright claim. But you have these little watchdog things, and Warner says a lot to me because Warner Music Group will eat you alive, and Warner Music Group actually has popped up some stuff where if you have a bit of a Disney music inside of something. I had even some of my video from Walt Disney World had some music from Lion King. Warner Music Group filed the copyright on it.
Yeah.
So that's the ones you need to be mad at. Don't be mad and blaming Disney. There are these watchdog groups out there that they're the ones that file these claims. But everything's turned out okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's making money off the video. The video was never taken down. You can go and watch it, and I advise you do, because it was pretty cool. And I hope he does get to make another one, but he's going to have to fund it himself, and I don't know where he's going to get the money, but he's got more money than I do to even. I think when I was reading, it was like $180,000 to make this fan film, and he would like to make.
I can't wait to watch.
This was like an episode 1, so he's planning on doing more, and it was well thought out, and it was very, very good. So everybody go and check it out.
Yeah.
But it's time we go and visit the trailer park.
All right, y'all. One more time. It don't matter what you look like. It don't. Nobody gonna sing with me. Okay.
The Neverland Trailer Park.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do in the trailer park, this was something that would have just been news, but there was a teaser. I'm not going to play the audio from the teaser because there's not much to it.
No.
But Jason Reitman released news this week, and Dan Aykroyd's talking about it. Ernie Hudson's talking about it. Ghostbusters 3 with the original cast is finally happening!
About time.
It's about blinking time.
I just hate, and I know everyone's thinking it, so I might as well say it. I hate that we had to have the other film come out, and I hate... Now, I can't talk intelligently because it's me. No, I can't talk intelligently because I never did get to see it all the way through. I saw bits and pieces. Someday I'll watch it because I'm not a complete jerk.
Does you feel like you want to torture yourself?
And the other... Well, look, I respect the women. I got nothing against that. I don't care if the women or not. That doesn't bother me.
Too bad that they weren't funny.
Well,
one of them was kind of funny.
I just more or less mean it doesn't bother me that there are women in the movie. That doesn't bother me. But the other thing is that I hate that we didn't get to have Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
That to me is I hated that they waited so long because I know this for a fact. I read about it for a good 20 years. Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd tried to get the film made. But Bill Murray kept holding back. And what Ernie Hudson?
We don't even know if Bill Murray's coming.
No, we don't know for sure. I simply know this: that the closest that we will ever get to having a third film with all four of the main cast is that game.
So this is like Ghostbusters 4.
In a way,
game was Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah, the only one who couldn't do it, and I respect him.
And if you haven't played that game, by the way, go play it.
Yeah, it's Rick.
It's an old game now.
Well, I can't think of his full name right now. Rick
Moranis.
Rick Moranis. And that was because he was, at the time, raising his girls.
Yeah.
So I respect him for that.
I would love him to come back.
Yeah, because right now he's not. They're older now.
Sigourney Weaver, I bet, would come back too.
Oh, I would love it.
That would be fantastic.
It'd be great to get them all back. But if they do get to do this with Bill and all of them, whether he does or not, we need to have a salute to our main man, Egon.
Yeah. And, with this teaser, because this is the trailer park, this teaser showed like this little kind of barn out somewhere in a rural part of New York State, I guess.
It reminded me of...
and somebody's working with the equipment, fixing it up or something. They got the Ecto-1. What if Egon has a son or a daughter or somebody who's following in his footsteps?
It reminded me...
Because passing the torch, that's what everybody said, that last Ghostbusters movie should have been about the original characters, not having the cast in there, but them being their characters and passing the torch on to new Ghostbusters.
What I wanted to see from that film... See, like I said, I didn't mind that there were women in it. That didn't bother me. I want to see like a Ghostbusters, a Next Generation type thing where you have Peter and like I said, it's a shame they didn't do it earlier with Egon and all of them. I wanted to see him kind of like that one cartoon, which was a bad cartoon, but they had Egon and Ray and them training the next generation.
There's a lot of people who were fans of that cartoon, though.
Yeah, it wasn't horrible, but it just wasn't as good as the other one for me.
I couldn't get into it either.
But I will say...
But there were people who liked it, so...
Like back in 2000, I think it was, maybe it was before that, there was a talk of making a new movie that was going to be people, like at the time, you have to remember when it was, the year 2000, they were talking about having Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller.
And
Owen Wilson would have been fun.
Yeah, Owen Wilson, and I think
even Vince Vaughn, they'd have been fun Ghostbusters.
They were going to be trained. Yeah. And that would have been a great show.
That would have been good. I don't remember
who else was. I think Chris Rock was spoken about. And I thought that would have been a great, and I think there was a woman talked about at the time. Was it Janine Garoppolo, I think? But I thought that would have been a really fun show.
It could have been a good Ghostbusters, yeah. And who knows? Who knows who they'll get, to be. But all we know is it's happening. We've got 2 years. Oh, no, not too, well, because it's already 2019 already, isn't it? So we've got a year and a few months until 2020 summer to get little bits of information leaked out to us, and we'll find out more. And, of course, fans are going to speculate over everything. Oh, yeah,
give me Slimer.
You're going to, I'll bet so. And I'll bet you're going to have fans that are going to yell and scream and say, this is horrible, they shouldn't just leave it alone. You're going to have it. It's all going to happen, but it's coming. But now, okay, so another big deal trailer that dropped this week, and I'm going to grab audio here for the international trailer because there's no foul language in the international trailer. But before I play this audio, I would like to share for you an audio when my conversation with Jim Korkis when we were actually talking about the original Spider-Man Homecoming. But Homecoming was so insulting to me, and I even bought it because I thought, well, maybe I just need to watch it a second time.
And why did you find? I'm not disagreeing, but I'm always curious about other people's perspectives, even if it's things that I already know. What is it that you found insulting about it?
Well, the number one thing is the character of Michelle, which the only relatable character to the comics I could find is the character that popped up later, and she's just the same way of being very annoying and really cranky as was displayed in the movie. Mm-hmm. So I figured, okay, that must have been the inspiration for this character. The final straw on her was when they said, oh, my friends call me MJ. I was like, no, this is not Mary Jane. Thank you very much. No J. Jonah Jameson. Not even a mention of Harry. What I expected to have been Liz Allen turned out to be Liz Toombs, which, I mean, I appreciate in Spider-Man. It's always nice to have the villain somehow or another personally connected. So I appreciate they went that direction a little bit. But it just...
Well, I think their belief, and again, I'm just guessing, I haven't read anything about this, is, my gosh, we've had so many Spider-Man films, we've got to, try a different perspective. I don't think that always works. Yeah.
Especially Flash Thompson, instead of being the quarterback, is now on the academics team. He's supposed to be like big as an ox, strong as an ox, and about as smart as one, and then he's on the academic team.
Right. No. Listen, I grew up reading those comic books as well too. I'm a big comic book collector. In fact, if you dig deep enough into my biography there, you'll see that I wrote for comic book fanzines and things like that, and I was considered a comic historian. And I actually wrote forwards for several books of comics published by Malibu Graphics, who reprinted some comic strips and comic books and things like that. And so, I'm a huge comic book fan. I not only met Stan Lee multiple times,
jealous.
I met Steve Ditko once.
Jealous.
And actually, Steve Ditko was really kind of nice. I thought he, was going to be this antisocial, basically, though, he just wanted to be left alone, and he wanted to be judged by his artwork and his storytelling, not by who he was or what he did or what he believed.
And his artwork was
but
amazing.
I only met him that once. Maybe I met him on a good day, but he was very nice. He wasn't very talkative, but he wasn't rude or shy or whatever. But one of my great memories. I met Jack Kirby a couple of times,
man.
and that was terrific.
Wow.
And again, my great regret, of course, is that I didn't follow up with some interviews.
Yeah.
I was a California boy, so I went down to San Diego Comic-Con many times. And I went down as a fan, and then I later went down as a dealer with my friend and former writing partner, John Cawley. We had Korkis and Cawley's Cartoon and Comic Company, where we sold animation cells, and people don't even know animation cells nowadays, and artwork and books and videotapes and things like that. And at one of the San Diego cons, John and I were at breakfast, and Jack Kirby came in with his wife Roz, and I just went over and started talking to him. But again, because I'm also an animation historian and wrote for animation magazines, I started talking to him about his time at the Fleischer Studios, where as a 16-year-old, he went in as an in-betweener, and he was in-betweening for Popeye cartoons and Betty Boop cartoons. Wow. And so I talked with him about, well, what was the studio like, and and in fact, one of the people who was an in-betweener with him at the same time was John Stanley, who went on to do the Little Lulu comic books for Dell, and all that. So I'm talking to, and then later, Cawley says, "Really? Is that what you wanted to talk to him about? You didn't want to talk about Captain America or his work on the Marvel animated cartoons?" Or I said, "Oh yeah, I wanted." And by then he was gone.
Oh man!
So
I think there's a whole other episode we can have you on to talk about some comic book stuff.
Yeah, no, I just love comic books, and there's a real connection between animators, and especially Disney animators, and comic books. Walt Kelly left being an animator at the Disney Studios because the Disney strike was coming. He left and got a job with Western Publishing, doing Dell comic books, and that's where he developed Pogo. Pogo first appeared in comic books for Dell before they appeared as a comic strip.
I don't think I know that character.
Wow. Well, now you'll Google it and you'll look it up. Pogo the Possum.
Pogo the Possum.
He was considered one of the top comic strip characters of all time, and being reprinted by Fantagraphics right now. And again, what happened is during the 50s is Kelly turned the comic strip into not just funny animals, but funny animals doing political commentary on Joseph McCarthy and things like that. Yeah.
These, no.
No banana. Great.
2 weeks in Europe. It's gonna be great.
I'm just gonna enjoy my trip, hang out with MJ. You look really pretty.
And therefore I have value?
No, that's not what I meant.
I'm messing with you.
I don't think she really likes me.
That's really nice. Really reminds me of when.
So nice to finally meet you, Spider-Man.
You're Nick Fury.
Put some clothes on. Let's go for a ride.
I think Nick Fury just hijacked our summer vacation.
Awesome! You got gifts, Parker, but you have a job to do. Are you going to step up or not? You're all alone. Your friends are in trouble. What are you going to do about it?
You don't want any part of this.
Who is that guy?
He's like Iron Man and Thor rolled into one.
He's no Spider-Man.
What is it with you and Spider-Man?
What, he looks out for the neighborhood, has a dope suit, and I really respect him. Sup, loser?
All right, so Spider-Man: Far From Home. So now you've heard one of my major problems with that movie is the character of Michelle, who now we see in this movie they're shoving more of her, and I can't stand that character anyway. But she's now the major love interest, and so we're going to get even more of her and her just annoying. Suppose it's kind of like L3 on even Jar Jar stuff that you figure, I guess that's supposed to be funny, but it really just comes off as annoying, and it doesn't work. Yeah. There's no way to be annoying and make it funny. Just look at Sheldon Cooper on The Big Bang Theory. He's basically an annoying character, but they do it in a way that's funny. But if the character is just, grouchy or however you want to call it, obnoxious, it's not funny.
Yeah.
And so I don't like that character. I'm also very disappointed that we were told, we're going to see Hydro Man and we're going to see the Molten Man. And it even looked like we got Sandman. But that's not who apparently these are. These are apparently some illusions by Mysterio. Which, we're going to see Mysterio's face the whole time. I did see a little bit when he's in action. He's got his dome on. But I don't want his identity revealed until later.
Yeah.
Because if this has been a proper Mysterio, he should be a stuntman or whatever, or, a special effects artist that has been, Spider-Man ticked him off for whatever, because he had done something, Spider-Man caught him on it. If they do his origin properly. I mean, I do like how he seems to be coming into this, he's pretending to be a superhero, so it seems like he's created the illusions of a big fire, and they're like elemental monsters.
Yeah.
Not Molten Man and Hydro Man, like I felt like I was kind of told that was going to happen, because I was excited about that idea, because some little known characters are going to get some space. No, they're not.
Well, at least they're getting known for people. At least you're getting to hear about him. I mean, if nothing else. But Mysterio, he's one of those guys who a lot of folks out there don't know of. And we do.
Well, they see him that dome head, they'll be like, that's that guy, because they'll know of that.
They'll see visually.
Mr. Fishbowl Head.
Yeah, Fishbowl. Hey, I love Mysterio.
Yeah.
I always have.
And I'm glad to see him in a movie, but I was disappointed in Homecoming. I'm probably going to be disappointed. I'm only probably going to see this because I want to review it for the listeners.
And I personally
don't expect a positive review from me. And I'm a Spider-Man junkie, but
I personally liked Homecoming. I didn't like everything about it, but I loved Homecoming for several reasons. One of them, I like the guy playing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I know nothing against Tom Holland.
And I can never remember his name. And I'm nuts about Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And he was perfect.
He was great. I mean, overall, if you look at it just from a movie perspective, it's a decent movie.
Yeah, and
it's just all the things that they messed up that bothered.
What's his name again? Not Jinder Hall. Jinder Hall.
Jinder Mahal. That's the WWE.
No, Jinder Mahal. No, the guy playing Mysterio.
Jeff Gyllenhaal.
Or
Jake Gyllenhaal. Sorry.
See, you got me all mixed up.
You got me mixed up. No, I'm saying Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. He's a good actor.
Yeah, so we'll see how he is a Mysterio. I would love still Bruce Campbell. With the old Sam Raimi movies, they were talking about Bruce Campbell playing Mysterio.
He would have been good.
He'd have been fantastic.
But that being said, we got Gyllenhaal. I think he's going to do a good job.
Yeah. And I like his costume in this. I mean,
because you know who it is. Yeah, they did that. I'm proud of him for that.
Even the little eyeball things right for the cape.
You know who he is. I mean,
it's Mysterio.
You don't have to guess.
But I didn't want to see him without the dome until he gets revealed.
Well,
not showing up and then he puts the dome on for like a cover. I mean,
we'll have to see what they do in the film, though.
Yeah.
I mean, in all reality, when it comes to this commercial, it might just be that they're trying to sell him, the actor.
Yeah, because they want to be able to see. But it's Jake Gyllenhaal. We want to see his face. And
that could be what they're doing.
But and I still the making it funny of everybody flirting with Aunt May. Those still come off very awkward to me.
Yeah, I gotta say. I will say, I thought,
and I've said it when they cast her, and I like Marissa Tomei.
Oh, I love her, but
she might be about the right age.
Don't take that wrong. Yeah, she's pretty, but I just I love her as an actress.
I like Marissa Tomei and everything, but there's nothing Aunt May-ish about her at all. Although there was some stuff in the Homecoming, I did like that she was worrying about him the way that Aunt May does.
She does a great job in it.
She's really playing the character, but they were able to go with the angle of hot Aunt May. That was awkward to me.
When I think of Aunt May, I'm always going to think of the older woman,
Rosemary Harris, in the Sam Raimi. She was so perfect.
I'm always going to think of someone.
And Sally Field was made a pretty good.
She did pretty good.
I liked her.
You go a little younger, it's one thing. You go hot, because she's a very good looking, attractive woman.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem like Aunt May to me.
It doesn't seem as Aunt May-ish. So
you could even go someone who's in her late 50s, early 60s.
And well, I think she is she might be in her 50s. She's got to be in her 50s.
She's in her 40s at least, or late 40s.
I think she's older than. I think she's in her.
Because
have to look it up.
She was in her early college years when I was in my preteen.
Well, the first thing I know that she was in was My Cousin Vinny. She got an Oscar.
Before that, though, she was in.
That's the first thing I knew.
Right before that, she was in Different World.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
she's
she was in that.
Where you coming from?
Yeah. Wow.
Only 1 year. That was the very first year.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
We're aging ourselves.
You are.
But yeah, this trailer did not get me excited.
Well, it did me because
granted, I'm watching it a few more times. We did get to see in the American version. There's a bit more some web slinging.
Yeah,
because web sling is always fun to watch. But it seemed like the focus was on the gliding. It's more like a flying Spider-Man than we're getting. And I was not entirely keen on the AI suit really, because it felt like it lost some of the Spider-Man-ness.
Yeah,
he felt like it was too much.
I personally, of an Iron Man thing. I'm more of an old school man myself, and so I like the old school. I like
him having some cool gadgets. That's been great in the game. All the fun gadgets is great.
Yeah, I'm just starting the game.
The AI suit and talking to the suit just didn't work for me. Even though I love Jennifer Connelly.
Oh yeah,
her as the suit was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Ever since Labyrinth, and the Rocketeer.
Oh yeah, I love Jennifer Connelly
too.
Boy, I sound like
and she's actually married to the Vision.
Yeah, she is.
So lucky dude.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work for me. Well, but I will see this.
And don't forget,
but I will not be excited.
Jennifer Connelly was also in one of the Hulk movies.
That's right. She was Betty.
Yeah,
and I still kind of like that one. I don't think
it's not near as good as the Incredible Hulk, but
which I guess that one wasn't received as well as they expected either. But I thought that Incredible Hulk movie was pretty good.
People can say what they want; it's still a part of the now.
Yeah, it's still connected, even though it was Ed Norton and all the different actor instead of Mark Ruffalo.
I liked him; it was fine.
Yeah. But it's can we have the leader now, please? Because I was excited.
Me too, and I love that actor.
Come on, Universal. I know has the race for solo films. Come on, Disney, just work it out. Let Universal release some solo movies with Mark Ruffalo. That's fine.
Yeah,
I would go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Or at least bring the leader in on something where the Hulk is involved, even if you tie it to somebody else's movie.
I would love it. That would be
great. Yeah.
There's so many people they could do. What about that great big war guy? That he's big green war guy that had that great big beard. I can't remember his name completely.
No idea, but we've gone 45 minutes.
I'm sorry.
We've gone over 45 minutes, and I still have over half an hour to talk to Jim Korkis.
Well, do it, brother.
That's right.
To Disney and beyond.
Okay, we have a fantastic guest this week. Now, I'm going to go through a little bit of history just in case some of you out there have never listened to WDW Radio with Lou Mongello, because I know there's got to be somebody out there who's never heard of it. But he frequently has this author on, and I'm telling you, I referred to him and my wife. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a walking Disney historian encyclopedia. He knows everything. But this is Jim Korkis, who grew up in Los Angeles and has been a frequent visitor to Disneyland, was an original member of the Mouse Club and the National Fantasy Fan Club, went to all kinds of conventions, actually talked to and interviewed a lot of people who worked with Walt Disney, and has written at least 20 books, if not more, has been a freelance writer, a teacher, and was actually a dealer of animation artwork. And aren't you actually like one of the head people at the Disney Archives now?
No. I wish I was, but no. Believe it or not, I'm one of those Walt Disney World cast members that got laid off in 2009. In fact, I got laid off the same week as 3,000 other Walt Disney World cast members, and despite the fact that I had won all sorts of recognition, like Partners in Excellence, which is only given to the top 5% of the over 60,000 cast members that work at Walt Disney World, I was given a hearty handshake and told, go explore some other dreams. And again, I hold no hard feelings. I always tell people that one of the reasons I've survived, and one of the reasons I still do some contract work for Disney, is I realize that you can love the Disney brand. The Disney brand are the characters, being in the parks, which can be a transformative experience. And you can love that, but still have some concerns how the Disney business operates. And So actually, one of my best friends for a long while was Disney archivist Dave Smith, and he was one of those inspirations for me to study Disney history, because I was always interested in Disney, and I was always interested in history. You know, why do things happen? And I had a junior college instructor who was a Civil War historian. I had no idea what a Civil War historian was, but I later learned, you know, that's the person who, you know, people go to for reference and for information. And one of the things that transformed my life is he was able to show us in his class that history was not about dates, was not about events, you know, all of that. It was about people. It was the story of people, and not just the generals and the big people. It was the day-to-day people who were doing things, and how all of that together influenced things that happened or didn't happen. And the same is very true with Disney. And the thing with Disney too, and the exciting thing is that, you know, I've been doing this for well over 30 years now, but there's always new things that pop up that you don't know of. And in fact, today we're going to be talking about a theme park that Walt was going to create that never got realized. And it actually took place in Missouri, in St. Louis. And what's going to be exciting for the listeners is in December 2015, the only known existing copy of the blueprints for this project, which was called Riverfront Square, it was sold at auction for $27,000 and has since disappeared into a private collection. That's oftentimes what happens is private collectors will get something and not share it with others. My goal is I want to share that information with other people, and I got to see actually some of those 13 pages of those blueprints, and so on today's show I'm going to share some of that information that I saw of what was going to be there. Now, the auction price was predicted to be like about $5,000. As I said, it sold for $27,000, which shows you how people felt that, oh my gosh, this is really valuable, and it is. It's the only copy that was available. You know, Walt, of course, as you know, Missouri is what he considered his home state. You know, he always felt that his roots were there in Missouri. You know, his boyhood in Marceline, and then later growing up in Kansas City, where everything was up to date. And you know, he always felt a really warm spot in his heart for Missouri, and at one point, you know, in 1956, he started to make plans to build a working turn-of-the-century farm in Marceline called the Marceline Project, and later Walt's Boyhood Farm. And he bought the land. The Disney company bought the land. There was going to be a motel. There was going to be a fishing pond. There was going to be a huge barn where there was going to be a barn dance activity and a cafe, and so basically Walt felt that today's generation was losing touch with, you know, respect for nature and the roots of America and all of this. So people would have been able to come to Walt's Boyhood Farm and relive that experience and actually participate, you know, with animals and planting and things like that. And so that's a whole nother story. But what happened with St. Louis, Missouri was, I bet a lot of people don't realize that it was founded in 1764. So in 1964, that was going to be the big bicentennial. So they wanted to do something really big. So that's why the Gateway Arch got built, and it opened in October '65, and the multipurpose Bush Memorial Stadium, which opened in '66. All of those were part of a project to celebrate St. Louis's bicentennial. And in addition, they had set aside some land that was just north of where the stadium was going to be built, where they were going to have something really innovative. It was going to be an outdoor mall, but it was going to be closed off to automobile traffic. So it was a pedestrian paradise. And there'd be theaters, there'd be restaurants, there'd be stores, and it'd be themed to 19th century St. Louis, when it was really, the king of the Mississippi there, and the riverfront square would be facing the Mississippi.
Yeah.
And so they're thinking, what can we do for this bicentennial to really, just blow it out of the water? And so they went and they talked with Walt Disney, because Walt Disney was looking for other opportunities. He didn't want to build another Disneyland. He had gotten, by '64, he had gotten well over 250 offers from places in the United States and foreign countries to come and build another Disneyland, because they knew that if there was a Disneyland there, it would increase jobs, it would increase tourism, it would increase, all of these other little things that could crop up, restaurants and things like this, which would benefit from that. But Walt didn't want to do that. Walt was looking for other challenges. And one of the things that he was looking around at that time was, believe it or not, to build Circle Vision theaters. And those people who've been to, the Disney theme parks know what that is, where you're standing up with those guide rails, and around you are all these 9 different screens, whatever, showing this. And so, of course, that was very popular at Disneyland. Walt created a film for the '58 Brussels World's Fair. In 1961, he created one in Italy for an exposition that they were having there. He was in discussions about building one at Niagara Falls. And so basically St. Louis came to him and they said, well, what would you think of, doing a Circle Vision film? And it would tell the history of Missouri or the history of the Mississippi River, Mark Twain, all of this, about a 15, 20-minute film, which, believe it or not, would have cost about $2 million. Ooh. And so Walt went and talked with them in St. Louis, and they were hoping, yes, he's going to get on board. And in March '63, Walt in Burbank actually talked with his entire staff, especially Harrison Buzz Price, who was the guy who found the place for Disneyland, found the place for Walt Disney World, and said, this sounds like an interesting idea in St. Louis. What if we took over that entire project? And so they ran the numbers, and yes, there would be enough of a local population. There would be enough tourists coming in to see the archway and all of this, and so they would, be interested. In May, Walt and his daughter and his wife went, and they were visiting around, and people of St. Louis thought, well, he's just checking to see where he's going to put this Circle Vision Theater and all of this. And it came as a great shock when November 18th, 1963, Walt said, the Disney company is going to do the entire riverfront square. Holy, my gosh, the guy who made Disneyland, he's going to build, another Disneyland here in St. Louis? And in fact, at that conference, Walt said he was envisioning things that would make parts of Disneyland obsolete.
Wow.
That Missouri, the history of Missouri, just so important to him. He was raised on the farm, and he wanted to create a venue that was not just entertaining, but also educational. And but again, the problem was, the challenge was, because at Disney you never have problems; you only have challenges.
Right.
The challenge was the weather. You know, that was one of the big problems, especially along the East Coast, is that, you know, many of the amusement parks there would be closed for, you know, several months of the year, you know. And so that was one of the challenges that Walt faced, and one of the reasons that he eventually went down to Florida, where you've got more of that weather. But basically, Walt was going to build an enclosed theme park. It was going to be 5 stories high.
Wow!
And one or two of those stories would actually be underground.
Of course.
And it would be over 2 city blocks long. You know, and basically a 3.5 acre building.
Yeah.
And half of it would represent St. Louis at the turn of the century, and the other half would represent New Orleans before the Civil War. And through lights and through painting on the ceiling, once you went into that building, you would be immersed in, my gosh, I've time traveled, you know, back in time to the, 1800s, early 1900s. You know, you wouldn't be able to tell you were inside a building.
Wow.
You know, so you'd have and not only would you have that lighting and a cloud-filled sky where the clouds would constantly be moving, and the light would constantly be moving. So it was like, you know, earlier in the day, it's lighter up there. As you get towards evening, it gets darker up there. As night was coming,
Wow.
There were sound effects piped in, you know, horses clip-clopping down the street, sound effects. There'd be turn of the century music. So again, very similar to Main Street USA, you know. At the parks, but on steroids. Now you guys have just been going on and on and on and on and on here, but but go ahead. If there's something you'd like to say here before
before we dive
further,
further,
people forget I was a junior high school teacher, so I'm in love with the sound of my own voice, and I'm also just so excited about sharing, you know, all of this information, and I'll bet that most of the people who are listening never even knew there was a project like this.
I didn't.
Did either of you know of this?
I had no idea, and I grew up here in Missouri, and you know, I didn't even know about the Marceline Project until I just happened to be at the museum up there, the hometown museum, and I saw some documents about the Marceline Project, and I started having to go like, well, what is this? What was happening here? And part of me almost thought it was something that was maybe the Disney company was doing now, and then I found out, no, this is something Walt wanted to do, and he passed away before he could make it a reality.
Walt was in it from 56 to his death in 66.
Yeah.
He worked on it for a decade. The Disney company bought over 300 acres with options for up to 500 other acres.
Mm-hmm.
And Harrison Buzz Price did the survey and said, no, you're not going to be able to make any money off of this. And Walt says, just wait till I come on TV. You know, in one of the introductions, I go, next time you're in Missouri, drop by my farm. You know, and Buzz Price said, no, I don't think that's even going to do it because, well, you've been to Marceline. It's not easy to get to, right?
It's kind of off the interstate a little bit.
There were plans to actually build a 4-lane highway that was going to connect with a main interstate, you know, in order to drive traffic to Marceline, because in those days even the train didn't stop at Marceline anymore.
Yeah,
but Walt wanted that project so much that he said, "We're going to make it a nonprofit."
Whoa!
and so when Walt says something that's going to do it, and one of the great things at Marceline, I don't know whether you saw it or not, but up on the wall they actually had Walt's pencil hand sketch of what everything was going to be. There was going to be a buggy train ride.
Yeah.
There was going to be all of this stuff. And the thing that killed it was after Walt died, of course, there was no champion for the project. Roy was only sort of half-hearted. Walt's brother Roy was only sort of half-hearted about doing that. But once Walt died, everything in the company shifted to Walt Disney World. You know, the most expensive private construction project in the world up to that time. And so even Disneyland was not getting, new items after 1967 because everything was devoted to Walt Disney World. And then you take a look at this thing that's not going to make one penny.
Right.
And then when Roy dies in 1971, it's like, that's it. So basically, the company sold all the land that it had purchased. They sold it back through Rush
Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah. Who
That's the guy. I was trying to remember his name earlier.
They sold it for half what they paid for it, and Rush is the guy who bought the 45 acres that still had the Disney farm and the house and the Dreaming Tree. And he gave that when his daughter Kay got married. He gave it to Kay, who is Kay Mallins. She married Wally Mallins, and Kay raised her family there. She's still there. She's the director of the Walt hometown museum. And so
And she still has yet to invite me to come and visit the inside of the house. I've been on the property quite a few times, and they know me up there, but I've not been invited into the house yet.
And not only do you need to get invited in the house, you need to get into Walt's bedroom because she has kept it the way that Walt's bedroom was when he was a boy there. But wait a minute, we're talking about St. Louis. What is this? You guys are crazy. You're getting me off topic here, and we only have a limited amount of time. Well, what Walt didn't. Walt drank what was called a Scotch mist, which is a combination of sort of water with Scotch and ice, and Scotch sort of sprinkled over the top. So he may have drunk a lot, but he didn't drink a lot of alcohol. But he also grew up in that time where everybody drank alcohol. However, at Disneyland, he was insistent that there be no alcohol because he had seen at amusement parks that if people drank alcohol, it changed their personality. They became rowdy, and that impacted the experience of other people there and all that. So Walt always said, if people want to drink, they can go across the street to the Disneyland Hotel, and get one, but it's not going to be in the park. And so, of course, when he's building this, it's like, no, we're not going to have any alcohol, And remember, we're doing this in St. Louis. So at a press conference, the Anheuser-Busch beer baron, August Busch Jr., publicly proclaimed any man who would build something like this and then not serve beer and liquor is crazy. Now, according to urban myth, for those who have heard this, according to urban myth, the moment Bush said that, Walt raised his eyebrow. And I even heard, I interviewed Admiral Joe Fowler at one time, and he was there at that the meeting, and he told me this happened. Walt raised his eyebrow, left the room. We all left the room. We got on the plane, and Walt said, that project is dead, and that killed the project. That is an urban myth, okay? Because basically, St. Louis was, well, we need to sell beer, wine, and liquor, in the restaurants. And in fact, that land that was Riverfront Square, Bush was planning on having some restaurants there and bars there and all that. And he was also going to build a Bush museum. I don't know if that ever got built, but it would give out free samples of beer, and so that didn't stop Walt. What Walt did is, Walt walked out, but then he came up with another plan. He came up with a plan that there would be an area that would be restricted to adults only. What Walt proposed, and remember, this is a 5-story high building. He was going to build up on the upper story. There'd be an observation floor. So there'd be picture windows where you could look out at the arch. You could look down, into the Riverfront Square theme park, and there'd be a restaurant, and there'd be a banquet space, and there'd be a cocktail lounge, and you could get beer and wine and alcohol, and you had to get your hand stamped if you wanted to go into the amusement area, so they could control how much alcohol you were having, and you couldn't take alcohol into the park. And St. Louis and Bush, agreed with that. Okay, and to build this whole thing was going to be $40 million, and as I said, this was just amazing. There was going to be a bayou boat ride that would take guests through a Louisiana swamp and down a waterfall into that lower basement, and you'd see alligators and all that. You didn't see pirates because there was another plan for a Jean Lafitte adventure ride where there would be pirates, but it would be done up in tableaus like the original Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland was going to be. And then they combined the two of them together, after the World's Fair. And remember, Walt is doing this as he's working on 4 pavilions for the 64-65 World's Fair. He's working on this St. Louis project. He had an idea for a haunted house. And you would go, and there would be a stretching room that, again, would take guests to a lower floor. And there'd be a room of illusions, and the ghosts would be themed to Missouri ghost tales.
Oh, wow.
And there would be one of the restaurants, and this is incredible when I saw this on the blueprints. One of the restaurants there was an indoor lake, and there was a full-size steamboat in the lake with the paddle wheel going, and that was a restaurant, and there'd be a live show on there. And the St. Louis section would have that Circle Vision Theater, that they had originally talked to Walt about. And there'd be a 15-minute film showing a trip down the Mississippi River. And Walt wanted it to end with a helicopter trip through the Gateway Arch.
Oh, wow.
And he was also thinking of another theater that would have a 200-degree screen and would have interactive elements. And when I say interactive elements, I'm talking not only about lights, but about smells and things like this. And basically on stage would be the history of Missouri. Mark Twain, Lindbergh's Flight, the spirit of St. Louis, things like that. But these would be audio animatronic figures, and they would be on revolving stages, very much like Country Bear Jamboree. They have those small stages, and you see the character in the scene, and then the curtain closes. Well, what happens when the curtain closes is that, moves around 180 degrees, whatever, and then when the curtain opens, there's another character, or the character is costumed differently, or there's a different background, whatever. So you would have all of these great figures from Missouri history, Will Rogers, John Philip Sousa, Teddy Roosevelt, local sports heroes, all of that, and they'd be talking to you and telling you, the history of Missouri. And Walt wanted an opera house that had a live-action show inspired by... Are you guys getting excited about this? It's like,
I'm wondering,
oh my gosh,
this would have been so great. Why didn't this happen? Awesome.
An old opera house. Well, I'm going to tell you, and it's very, very simple why. It's the reason why a lot of things never happen at Disney. So an old opera house that had a live-action show. See, now you guys are going to have to listen to the end of the podcast to find this out here. There was a live-action show based on the Golden Horseshoe Revue at Disneyland because Walt wanted the French can dancers up there because he knew that was a guest satisfier. There were going to be at least 2 Fantasyland dark rides. They were planning on Peter Pan Flight because that was the most popular at Disneyland, and either have Snow White's Adventures or a new attraction they were working on based on Pinocchio, which later ended up at Walt Disney World. And, they were even thinking of, after the fair, bringing down Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, because the thing was already built.
Oh, wow.
And so the cost would only be for transportation and installation. So, you're saving money on that. There was going to be a Lewis and Clark adventure ride.
Oh, man.
That would take guests on a boat through the dioramas and audio animatronic figures, of their journey. And in fact, that was being designed by Mark Davis. And Mark Davis actually took bits and pieces of that and adapted it to his Western River expedition for Big Thunder Mesa, which was going to be at Walt Disney World. But that came from this, and okay, but it's like, oh my gosh, this is great. And again, Walt is sharing some of these, but he's saying, it's all very fluid right now. We're all in that sort of blue sky stage where we're just sharing, information and all of that and doing some basic designs. But in order for Disney to commit, and Disney would be responsible for all of the costs related to what Walt referred to as the show. So that meant the design and building of the rides, the creating the films, the attention to theming, the training of the staff, things like that. He felt that St. Louis would provide the massive building, would build parking garages, because, again, you need to have enclosed because of the weather, some traffic improvement, because, again, you're going to have a large stream of traffic, so you're going to need to, enlarge the roads, lights, things like that, and also sell the land at a bargain price similar to what Walt was, because we're talking 1963, 64 here. November 63 is when Walt flew over Orlando and said, that's the place. They were already buying land in Orlando. Mm-hmm. And so people say, oh, well, he was going to do St. Louis, and then when that fell apart, he looked somewhere else and he found Florida. Walt was crazy enough that he thought he could build both of these at the same time. Right? So he was getting a good deal on land in Florida, $180 an acre, which was great price for swampland.
Yeah.
As soon as people found out that Disney was buying the land, it shot up to $80,000 an acre. And in fact, a year before Walt Disney World opened, there were acres of land that were selling for $375,000 an acre. So Walt knew, you've got to be careful about this. Okay. Yeah. Now, what St. Louis said was, we'll work on the streets, we'll build the parking garages, we'll build the shell, but we're not going to build the inside. The inside is yours. And Walt said, no, you're going to have to build the infrastructure, for the water and the gas and the electricity and all of that. And you're going to have to put up the walls where we want walls so that basically we can come in and we fill up this interior. And St. Louis said, no, I think we're going to pass. And so in July 65, there was a joint announcement that basically said, when we announced this, we said we're working on this, but because of the size and scope of this project and the cost that's involved, it may prove difficult, and that's proven to be the case. So this is July 65. The St. Louis project is officially announced as this is not going to happen. And then in November 65, that's when Walt announces we're building in Florida.
Thank you for listening to the Neverland Podcast.
We invite you back next week for more fun and adventure.
Until then, remember to keep a pixie in your pocket.
It's that young at heart, positive attitude that you can share with others.
And remember to visit our website at neverlandpodcast.com.
There you can find links to our news page, our shop,
our contact page, where you can easily send an email to podcast@neverlandpodcast.com.
You can also find our Neverlanders page, where you can find out how to become an official Lost Boy or Pixie, because girls are too clever to get lost.
Become a real Neverlander.
Please feel free to leave us a voicemail at 816-226-6492.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter at NeverlandPcast.
And like our Neverland Podcast fan page on Facebook.
We also have a group on Facebook for you to join.
We also appreciate your support to keep the Neverland Podcast up and running.
Visit patreon.com/NeverlandPodcast to donate to keeping the pixie dust alive.
Copyright content featured on the Neverland Podcast is copyright of their respective creators and used under fair use license.
All original content is copyright of Blue Band Productions, and a very special thanks to Yeehaw Bob Jackson at yeehawbob.com for our new ending music.
God bless!
Yeah! Hello, everybody. This is Yeehaw Bob Jackson. Neverland Podcast, we love you. Neverland Podcast, we love you. Neverland Podcast, it's true. Neverland Podcast, we love you.